Hi, my name is Molly, and ever since I can remember, my living spaces have been cluttered, disorganized, and in a lot of cases, downright dirty. However, when I got pregnant with my second child, I started to get really serious about decluttering and cleaning my house. However, all of the methods I was using just didn't seem to work. I realized that I likely have ADHD, and a lot of the methods that I was trying to use were not ADHD friendly. Once I realized that, I started developing cleaning and organizing methods with ADHD brains in mind, and it has worked so well. For the first time in my life, I'm proud of the way my home looks. It's easy to keep it clean, and I want to share the methods that I have been using with as many people as I possibly can. I will admit, my spaces don't look exactly like the home edit, but they are functional and they are easy for somebody with ADHD or even someone who's just very busy and easily distracted to follow. My goal is to have my entire house organized and decluttered before I start nursing school in the fall. Welcome to Hoarder to Healer. So this is what the closet looked like when I started. Obviously, the floor was completely covered in stuff. We hadn't walked into our closet in forever. I'm not even sure how long it had been. There's a lot of visual clutter with hangers and the way that things were stacked. The shelves weren't terrible, but they definitely had room for improvement. So the first thing you want to do is gather all of the supplies you're going to need. So a trash bag, either a bag or a box for giveaway items, and then you want to have a box for things that don't belong in the closet that you're going to put away after you are completely done cleaning the closet. The next step is to get rid of all of the visible or obvious trash, and the reason I say it like that is that you don't need to go digging around and looking for every single piece of trash that's in the closet. Just whatever is obvious, easy to grab, throw that away. After you're done with that, collect all of the dirty laundry and put it in a hamper. Those two steps in themselves probably have already made a big difference in your closet. The next step is to completely clean the floor. And the reason that you do that next is that it's a very visually pleasing thing when the floor is completely clear. Even if the rest of the closet is still in disarray, at least having a clean floor makes things feel better, and it's going to give you a lot more motivation to continue and finish the rest of the project. So as you're cleaning your closet floor, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking for anything that you just no longer need or want. So a good way to do that is that you're probably going to have one of two reactions when you find something that has been at the bottom of your closet for who knows how long, whether it be weeks or months or years. You're either going to find it and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally found this. I've been looking for this for who knows how long. Or you're just going to have a neutral reaction to it. And if you're having a neutral reaction to it where it's just kind of like, oh, it's just a thing, I don't really care either way, that's probably a good thing to get rid of, because A, you're obviously not using it because you didn't even know it was there, and B, it's not something that you were looking for. So that's a good sign just to get rid of it, because it's just adding chaos and clutter to your life, and you definitely don't need it. Don't hang on to those things. Let them go. So once you have a clean floor, you can start to look around and see if there are any things that can be adjusted in your closet to actually give you a more usable space. So for me, I had this chest of sheets and blankets underneath our bottom clothes rack. So our bottom clothes rack had always bothered me anyway, because it always just looked visually cluttered, because the clothes were close to the floor and I just never really liked the way it looked. And then the chest just wasn't the most functional thing. It was hard to open because there were clothes hanging over it. So I ended up taking that out, moving the clothing that I had up to the top rack. And this is a good area to point out. I actually have thinned out my clothing a lot over the last year. So getting rid of excess clothes, things that you don't wear, things that don't fit, things that have holes or are stained, or things that you just in general don't like, getting rid of those is going to help you so much, because again, you might feel like you want to keep it, but if you're not using it, all it's doing is adding clutter to your life and adding more things to manage. So this would be a good time to really look at the clothes that you have and decide what you really are actually wearing, and get rid of anything that you're not. So I moved all the sheets and blankets to an under the bed storage box. Those work really well for storing things that you only use on occasion, but you do need to keep. So once I cleared this space, I realized that I could actually make it way more useful. So I store my kids' clothes in these pink and white bins that I got from Hobby Lobby, and those bins fit perfectly in the IKEA Kallax shelving unit. So what I do, I don't fold them, I just drop them in each of the bins. So there's a bin for bottoms, there's a bin for tops, there's a bin for dresses, and then there's a bin for pajamas, swimsuits, kind of like a little bit miscellaneous. And it works super well. It makes laundry so easy, it makes putting their clothes away super easy, it makes getting them dressed super easy, and I love it. But I was having a hard time finding a place for it where it actually fit well. We originally had it in our hallway, and in our hallway it just didn't fit right. We don't have a huge hallway, so it was definitely adding to visual clutter, it was adding to just general space clutter, but in the closet it fits perfectly and it looks beautiful. So this is an optional step you can take with your clothing. If you are still needing space, or if it's still looking cluttered in your closet, you can go ahead and take out anything. Like if it's summer and you have a bunch of heavy winter jackets, you can take those out. Or if it's winter and you have a lot of summer dresses that you know you're just not going to use, you can take those out, and that'll help you free up a little more space if you need it. Okay, so by now you should have a clean floor. Your clothes should be only clothes that you love and actually wear. And now you can move on to the shelves. So like I said in the beginning, my shelves weren't terrible, but there definitely was room for improvement and room for making them less cluttered. So just do one shelf at a time. I actually recommend with starting the least cluttered shelf. So that was my very top shelf on the left side of the closet. I had some throw pillows, which kind of go back and forth with people. Some people are really good at using throw pillows. I'm not one of those people, so probably I'm just going to end up getting rid of these because, again, they're just sitting in my closet. They're not pretty on my bed or anything like that, and look how much space they were taking up. So when you're doing one shelf at a time, what you're going to do is take everything off of that shelf, figure out what you want to put back on that shelf, figure out what you just need to get rid of, and then figure out what needs to move to either a different room or a different shelf or a different location in the closet. And the reason that I like to do one shelf at a time is that it keeps it manageable, just in case you get interrupted and you have to do something else or you have to leave the house or something like that. You don't want to take everything off of every shelf and then have it on your newly clean closet floor. A really big part of the method that has been working for me is rewiring my brain to actually notice clutter. So prior to doing a lot of this stuff, I would walk into a room and I would know it was messy intellectually, but it wasn't like I wouldn't really notice each individual piece of clutter. I wouldn't notice what exactly needed to be done. It was still adding chaos to my life. It's not like I didn't care. It definitely added anxiety and mental stress, but I wasn't seeing what exactly needed to be changed. So having a regularly cleaned space, so keeping your closet floor clean, only doing one shelf at a time, just in case you do get interrupted, that's going to start to train your brain to expect to see a clean closet floor. So when you walk in there, that's what you expect to see. And if you don't see that, it's immediately going to click and you're going to want to change it. Versus if you take everything off of the shelves, you have the best intentions to get the full project done that day or that hour or whatever it might be, and then you get interrupted for some reason and now you can't finish it. All of this stuff's out on the floor. The next time you come into your closet, you're still just seeing clutter. So you're not training your brain to not expect the clutter. Okay, so here it is, completely done. So normally I'll put my towels up on this shelf. I got my girls' bows in here, which I'm super excited about because they didn't really fit anywhere else in my house and look nice, and they look really nice in here. I've got one box like this, a couple boxes like this. That's one thing I want to point out is labeling your boxes is super important. Even though you might think, you know, Molly, you only have 3 boxes here, you can't keep track of what's in there. And the answer is no, I can't. And the reason that I can affirm that is that one of these boxes, so I only had one of these boxes in here when I started cleaning, but I knew that I had 3 in the house total. So I went around the house looking for a second one so it would match, and I found it. It was in one of our guest rooms. But the thing about it is that it was full of stuff that I've actually bought to replace the things that were in there. So I was looking for these electronic things forever, and they were literally in one of these bins, and the bin wasn't labeled, and I've even looked in that room. So it was like, I don't know, it was adapters for my computer for USB to USB-C, and some tips for my Apple Pen and stuff like that. just like stupid little stuff, but stuff that I knew I had, and I looked and looked and looked, and I even looked in that room, but I didn't check in one of these. And had it been labeled electronics or computer stuff or something like that, I would have looked in there. So it's really important to label those. It'll also help you put the right things back in those. You're less likely to just throw random stuff in there. So this is up here. We'll probably eventually move those pillows, but they're working there for right now. I've got this little shelf with some of my nursing stuff here. I changed all of the hangers to, we've been using it for a couple days now. I've changed all of my hangers to white only because that helps with clutter, whether you want to do blue or green or black or gray or whatever. Just keep them all one color. It definitely helps to minimize visual clutter. I've got a couple of these boxes here. These are actually empty right now. I'm not sure if they're going to stay here or not, but they work there. And then of course, my favorite feature, the kids' clothes. This is a UV sterilizer. So I will get things, usually it's kids' toys, but like if something falls in the sink or something and makes me, I hate it. So I will drop it in there for 5 minutes and feel better about it being sanitized. So these things fell in the sink the other day, and it was after I had already cleaned the closet, and I had the urge to just like kind of throw them on the floor in here or something. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's just going to add to cluttering. Of course, I have the intention to do it today, but it might not happen. So I actually found this little box to throw things that I'm going to sterilize here. So that's another important thing, is to think about things that you might do in the future that are going to cause clutter, and just stop those now. So put a box there so that you can just drop things in it. Another thing I want to mention that I know people are probably going to look at and be like, oh, that doesn't look that great. So it's these bags that are right here. So I could put those in boxes or containers, but honestly, what's going to happen is it's going to be, first of all, finding a box that fits them in a way that's going to work with the rest of the shelves is probably unlikely, because they are kind of bulky and big. So to put them in a box, yes, it would make it look nicer, but is it going to be functional and realistic for me to every day pull the box out, grab the bag that I want, come back home, put the bag back in the box, put the box back on the shelf? It's probably not going to happen. So that bags are probably going to end up back on the floor. So this way works really well. Yes, they're just kind of stuffed there, but if it's functional and it works, and overall it does look nice, it's better than them being on the floor. I can easily see which ones I have and know which one I want to grab. That works. You don't have to have everything, like I said in the beginning of the video, not everything has to look like the home edit. If it's comfortable, if it's clean looking, and if it's peaceful and relaxing when you walk in, that's good enough. The very last thing I want to say is that you probably don't need to go out and buy a bunch of storage boxes right now. If you're anything like me, I have a bunch still in my garage. I had some just kind of scattered throughout the house. Those boxes at the bottom with the bamboo tops used to be in my bathroom. And you probably are going to be better off not to buy anything just yet. I would wait until you finish organizing your house. But if you need, like if you don't have boxes to put things in at the moment, you can do something as simple as using cardboard boxes. I just don't want you to have to feel like you have to go out and spend a bunch of money, because those things are expensive. You might kind of change things around in here before you are completely satisfied with the way things are organized. So it might be better to hold off on buying organization containers until you are sure that you like the way that you have it organized.